Most business leaders today think that AI first means using ChatGPT or maybe building some agents. But if that's what you think, you're going to get steamrolled by companies that actually build everything around AI. Hi, I'm Joshua Ebner. I'm a 20-year expert in AI, machine learning, and data science with experience at companies like Apple, HP, and Bank of America. In this video, I'll show you what it really means to be AI first and why it goes far beyond LLMs and agents. You'll learn the four types of AI that can actually drive business results, how modern AI first companies are structured, and the simple steps that you can start using today to start building an organization that learns, improves, and wins with AI. So, first, let's just start with the problem that I'm seeing. Most executives hear the term AI first and they think about ChatGPT, copilots, and agents. But those tools only solve a narrow set of business problems, mostly around things that involve automation or text. And if you're trying to do other things like make precise predictions, those sorts of tools are probably not going to work very well. So, what's the truth then about artificial intelligence? The reality is that there are multiple different types of artificial intelligence, and true AI first companies know the full range. The four main types that I talk about are first, predictive AI. For example, predicting churn risk, predicting upsell propensity, predicting who's likely to respond to a marketing offer, predicting demand, things like that. And if you need to make these sorts of precise predictions, you could try to use a large language model, but in most cases, an LLM is probably not going to be the best tool. In fact, large language models are actually kind of bad at making these sorts of precise predictions, at least in production systems and at scale, with very high levels of accuracy and precision. If you're going to try to make precise predictions, you're typically going to use a set of other tools that we'd usually call supervised learning systems. I don't want to get too far into the technical details here, but there's a different set of AI and machine learning tools that we use to build predictive systems. Most businesses do need to make predictions. This is something that you need to understand and probably could use in your own business. Most businesses can benefit from making good predictions in one way or another. And in order to do that, you're going to need to understand this different type of AI. The second type of AI that I talk about is something that we might be able to call discovery or exploratory AI. Technically speaking, this is something called unsupervised learning. But with this type of AI, we're looking for patterns in data. The kind of classic or iconic example is a segmentation model that takes a large group of customers and then finds subgroups. And once you understand what those subgroups are, then you can start building specialized products, messaging, offers, communication channels for each distinct segment. So we can use this different type of AI, discovery or exploratory AI, to find those patterns and then use that in many cases for certain types of business strategy. By the way, if you're interested in building an AI centric company, you probably want to figure out your readiness to actually use AI. That being said, go check out my AI readiness assessment. You can find the link in the description. It's only a few questions. It'll take you less than 5 minutes. It's free. So go find the link in the description and take my AI readiness assessment. The third type of AI that I talk about is generative AI. This is what a lot of people are actually very familiar with right now. ChatGPT and Claude, Perplexity, all of these tools are essentially generative AI. And we use these for primarily right now generating text, although there are obviously systems that generate images and video at this point. We can use generative AI for a variety of tools, and large language models are kind of like a Swiss Army knife. But that being the case, they're really good at a variety of different things, but they're often not the best tool for many types of problems. So, as I already suggested, if you are trying to make really precise predictions, you can kind of do that with an LLM, but they're often not the best tool for the job. So you need to know when to use large language models in these generative systems. You need to know when to use them and when not to use them. That said, they can be very powerful for certain types of brainstorming, ideation, question and answer sessions, getting answers to your questions, text summarization, copywriting, things like that. And the fourth type of AI that I'll talk about here is automation. Now, here I'm primarily thinking about AI agents or using various combinations of AI systems together to automate processes and workflows. Today, this often does happen using an AI agent. In an AI agent, we typically have a large language model and connect that LLM to a variety of other systems and tools, sometimes other types of AI, and then automate systems, business workflows, etc. And these are just the four primary types of AI that I'd talk about. There are also some other ones that are maybe a little bit more niche, things like computer vision, using AI systems that can kind of see through pictures and videos and then navigating the world or operating in some way based on those images. I think what I want to emphasize here, though, is that there are different types of AI that solve different types of problems. And if you want to build an AI first business, you need to know the differences. Next, let's talk about the modern AI stack. Because if you want to build an AI first business, you need to have the right people and assets and resources in place. So, first, the base layer is data. Many people forget about this, but almost every type of modern AI is data driven in some way. These systems almost always need data of one form or another. So, if you want to build an AI first business, you need to collect your data, you need to clean it, and you need to make it accessible for people that are going to build and engineer AI systems. The second part of the modern AI stack for AI first companies is the people, but you need people that have particular types of skills. So I just talked about the importance of data. You're going to need people in your business that have data relevant skills. This particularly includes data engineering. Like I said, being able to gather and clean the data. That is a data engineering skill set. You're also going to need people with some data analytics and data science skills that often comes into play when you're building AI. You're going to need some people that have machine learning and modern AI skills. Remember, almost all modern AI is based on machine learning. So you're going to need people in your organization that are able to build and train machine learning systems and modern AI systems. That includes, by the way, a set of leaders in your organization that are at least somewhat literate in a lot of these skill areas so they can lead the teams as they build these systems out. That brings us to our third part of the modern AI stack for AI centric businesses is the systems themselves. So as I said, there are four major types that you should probably be looking at: predictive AI, discovery AI, generative AI, and automation. Your team that we talked about just a second ago, your team is going to need to be able to build and deploy and scale these systems up. And the fourth part of the modern AI stack for AI centric companies is kind of bringing all those things together. So ultimately, an AI centric company is going to need teams of both humans and AIs working together inside of workflows that leverage the best parts, with humans primarily building and training these systems, prompting these systems, asking the right questions, and then validating and verifying the outputs, monitoring, improving the systems over time, integrating AIs into business workflows and processes, and so on. So, if you're interested in building an AI first company, how do you get started? First, like I said, the foundation is the data. So, you need to start thinking now about where your data is, how you're going to get it. You're going to need to clean it, store it in various storage systems like databases, and so on. Start thinking about that right now. Second, learn the full AI toolkit. As I mentioned previously, predictive AI, discovery and exploratory AI, generative AI, and automation. Understand the four types and learn about how they're built, how they're structured, when you can and can't use them, the proper use cases. This is an entire video in and of itself, so I'll talk more about that later on. If you're interested, just make sure that you subscribe. Third, you need to build a serious AI team, people that have the right skills in machine learning and data and AI engineering. That includes not just the frontline employees, but also the leadership. And then start figuring out your use cases. So understand what business problems you're actually trying to solve, figure out which type of AI is going to help you solve that problem the best, whether it's predictive or generative or automation based AI, and figure out the metrics that you're trying to drive, whether it's revenue or cost or customer satisfaction, and so on. From there, you can start building, deploying, and iterating on your systems and creating feedback loops for ongoing improvement. So, if being AI first means building your business around artificial intelligence, the question still remains, who's going to be leading that transformation? because the companies that win in the AI era won't just have AI systems, they'll have AI leaders. So, in this next video, we'll talk about the rise of the chief AI officer, what the role is, why it matters, and how it's redefining the modern executive suite. Check it out here.